book The End of the Affair is a controversial novel written by Graham Greene that causes us to look at relationships and morality in a new light. Today we will be addressing the following questions. Christianity is all about relationships. How does the text shed light on the nature of healthy relationships? And what moral or ethical questions does the book raise? We questioned some experts to find answers. First, we met with Father John of Gilmore Academy to answer some of our questions.
Christianity places a large focus on the nature of relationships. What should relationships be centered around if they are to be considered Christian?
I think they have to reflect the presence of God in you. I think, you learn that phrase, we're made in God's image and likeness, but so oftentimes it's just a phrase. And so it has to reflect godliness in some way. And I don't mean by that it's not human. But I think that, we can't use other people in relationships. And, you were talking about, that book that you've read, and a good example would be if somebody's having an affair, they're looking for something. People who are married just don't go out and have affairs, okay? There's something lacking in the relationship that causes them to go somewhere else, that is not being fulfilled or not being answered. In other words, there's a piece of godliness missing, but they go about it in an ungodly way because they have this covenant, which of course they're breaking to fulfill this need. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
What would you say qualifies as a healthy relationship?
Healthy relationship is when it's in true love, and so true love is living for the other, and in the process you fulfill yourself. And so it doesn't mean when we say living for another, we don't mean that oh my gosh, this person's a slave, they're depressed, because the more that we serve others, the more that we make other people happy in our lives and fulfilled, the happier we become. And I think you probably have experienced that. Think about the times when maybe you say you participated in the Giving Tree, how you feel good about that kind of a thing.
Do you believe that there are any certain circumstances in which some of these ethics that you mentioned in a healthy relationship could be altered or disregarded?
Well, we don't live in a perfect world. Divorces do happen, and there are times when the covenant between a husband and a wife is not only unfulfilled, but it even goes all the way back to the fact that it just wasn't entered into properly. Things happen, but at the same time, we shouldn't always take the easiest course as the first course of, we should try to resolve the issue first. Like for example, if someone's unfaithful in a marriage, the first response shouldn't be divorce. The first response should be, why is this happening? And trying to go about resolving it. But, we do live in the human condition.
Right. And kind of how you can work that out.
And try to work it out.
Right.
Sometimes, couples are so hurt, and
Mm-hmm.
I totally understand this.
Right.
And that pain is so profound that it takes a while to even begin to grasp what that pain is. It's not an easy thing at all. But again, we live in the human condition.
The responses from Father John helped put into perspective how a true Christian relationship should look and function. After speaking with him, we looked to a literary scholar, Kayla Miller, to connect Christian relationships ideals to the end of the affair.
I would say that I'm quite familiar with the novel. I've read it in depth and reflect on the questions it proposes in an attempt to enlighten myself as well as my peers.
How would you describe the overall plot of the book?
Well, The End of the Affair is a story about a woman named Sarah who is married to Henry Miles, but is having an affair with Maurice Bendrix. Sarah has many affairs while being married to Henry, but the one with Bendrix is different from the rest.
What makes this affair so unique from the others?
Unlike the other relationships Sarah has had, she's truly fallen in love with Bendrix. Now she wants to leave Henry, but at the same time, she wants to keep her promise to God.
What part of her relationship with Henry is lacking, causing her to be in a less of a Christian relationship?
They have always had a lackluster relationship in which neither of them was fully devoted to the other. This made it so that their marriage was doomed from the beginning. She sought to fill this void with her many affairs, especially with Bendrix.
How does this reflect on the nature of a healthy marriage or a healthy relationship?
Well, a healthy marriage or relationship would definitely reflect godliness and true love for yourself and your partner. These values are not represented well throughout the story, and this is the main reason why there are so many relationship struggles. By showing what an unhealthy relationship looks like, the novel puts into perspective how a healthy relationship should be.
As the novel delves into nature of relationships, it also brings into question what moral and ethics are. It raises questions regarding how morality and ethics apply to different situations. We spoke to moral philosophers Alison Bednar and Alexis Foster for more insight.
Morality is referring to the goodness or evil of human acts. Human freedom makes us a person, a moral subject or agent, able to judge the morality, goodness, or evil of the acts which are chosen. The morality of human acts depends on the object of nature of the action, the intention and the end foreseen in the circumstances of the action.
Then what do you believe ethics are?
Ethics are the science of human conduct known as natural reason. It is a normative science that determines the principles of rights and wrong in human behavior. It is also a practical science because it does not merely speculate about moral good and evil, but also decides what is right or wrong in specific human actions.
Morals and ethics both sound very similar. What is the difference between the two?
Every person in the world has a set of morals that they know, whether they are good or bad morals. But not every person has ethics. Ethics deal with what the outcome of the actions are. Morals are usually to make the decisions. An ethical person is a person who does what is best for people and has the most positive outcome of all their choices.
Sarah made many decisions that are questionable, whether they were morally, ethically correct, based on the standards set by the Catholic Church. So was she morally correct according to Catholic teachings when she cheated on Henry?
No, she was not. When Sarah was married to Henry, she stated, "I promise to be true to you in good times and in bad, in sickness and in health. I will love you and honor you through all the days of my life." And she did not uphold this promise. She decided to go behind her husband's back and have an affair with Bendrix.
Then was this a good decision ethically?
No. Sarah's desire to be with Bendrix while she was still married to Henry was not what was best for all of them. But on the other hand, she did make the decision that made most people happy. There was also the other option she had, which is she could have gotten a divorce first, because Henry was respectable and would not have wanted to go in his own way to find another woman.
What would you conclude about how the book puts morality and ethics into question?
Every situation we are put into questions our morality and ethics. It's not always easy to distinguish the right action from the wrong one. We can learn from the example provided in the book in order to learn how to address controversial situations that we come across in our lives.
What would you conclude about how the book puts morality and ethics into question?
Every situation we are put into questions our morality and ethics. It's not always easy to distinguish the right action from the wrong one. We can learn from the example provided in the book in order to learn how to address controversial situations that we come across in our lives.
In the book, The End of the Affair, Sarah intentionally ignored all morals and ethics that she believed in because she was blinded by her unhappiness with her relationship with Henry and longed for something more with Bendrix. Based on what Father John Blazek, Kayla Miller, Alison Bednar, and Alexis Foster said, Sarah and Henry did not have a proper Christian relationship because they were both just married, so they could say they were married. They were not committed to each other, but Sarah was the only one who cheated.